Flickers Textiles in Melbourne is one of the last two remaining manufacturers of its kind left in Australia. Gas is a vital energy source for its operations.
We're a textile mill that dyes fabric. To dye fabric we need to make hot water and steam, and the only economical way at this point in time is to use gas.
The cost of gas has soared in recent years due to local and global problems. Yarran Flicker's gas bills have almost tripled in 3 years.
For every working day, it's about $1,600 a day, which is just a horrendous amount.
The family-owned company has supplied fabrics to some of our biggest sporting events, but after being forced to increase his prices, Yarran says most of the sporting codes and fashion brands have gone offshore. 2 decades ago, he employed 135 people. He now has about 30 staff.
The trajectory is not great, but at this point in time, we're financially responsible and we're barely holding our own.
At least 2 major gas-reliant Victorian manufacturers have closed this year due to price volatility, or relocated to states where gas is more reliable. Gas-reliant businesses on the East Coast face a looming and very serious threat. The ACCC and the Australian Energy Market Operator forecast there won't be enough gas to meet demand from as early as 2027 or 2028.
Neither New South Wales or Victoria has in place a plan that will adequately address the shortfall of gas that's just a few years away.
Victoria's been a great manufacturing state for over a century now. We want to maintain that, and part of maintaining that is to have a permanent gas supply that is consistent.
I don't think they actually care. If they did care, they would have done something about it, because it's been known about it for a long time.
There is no Australia-wide gas shortage. In fact, we are the world's second largest exporter. But the Bass Strait offshore gas fields that Victoria relies on, and New South Wales gets about half its gas from, are running out.
Worst case scenario for industry in particular is that we will be lacking in a gas supply in a couple of years' time, that the costs will skyrocket, and companies will either have to decide whether to stay in Australia or how they are going to change their manufacturing outfit, and that's going to be really difficult and really expensive to do, and some can't do that. So they might decide to up and leave Victoria.
Energy analyst Rick Wilkinson is a veteran of the oil and gas industry. He says with exports tied up in long-term contracts, delays in opening up new gas fields, and until renewables catch up, the solution is to bring in more gas with upgrades to pipelines, or to ship LNG into Victoria and New South Wales.
The solution is going to be multi-parts to it. I do think we need to bring more gas that we do have developed domestically from the north.
The New South Wales government insists it is moving to shore up supply and says the private sector is too. Andrew Forrest-backed company Squadron Energy says its new LNG terminal at Port Kembla could import enough gas from other states and even overseas for that state and Victoria from 2026.
This makes a lot of sense because to bring gas as LNG from Western Australia into Port Kembla for Sydney or into Port Phillip Bay for Melbourne, the cheapest way is to do that on a ship versus a pipeline.
Victorians are the biggest users of gas in the country, and while the state government has banned gas connections for newly built homes, it's not as easy to wean heavy industry off the energy source. The Australian Industry Group estimates about 58,000 people are employed by gas-intensive manufacturers in the state. Can you guarantee there will be enough gas for every Victorian that needs it?
There will be, and can I say that the market operator has a role of balancing demand, and they have already put in place plans to ensure that there will be sufficient gas to meet the needs in those earlier years.
Very experienced experts are worried though, and they're saying that Victoria is not on track.
Well, I would dispute that. The market operator, they have indicated the need for other actions to be taken, including an import terminal to be in place, delivering gas for 2028. And the actions that were taken are absolutely in line with meeting all of those objectives.
The Victorian government is considering two proposals for LNG import terminals to plug the gap. But Viva Energy's proposal to build one at this site in Geelong is facing opposition from environment groups.
Last time this project was put forward, there were more than 2,000 individual written submissions against this project, expressing real concerns against things like safety, loss of amenity and access to the use of the bay.
Geelong Sustainability is calling for new ways of thinking.
And there are lots of other solutions we should be trying before we revert to this retrograde idea of re-importing our own gas at great expense financially and to our future well-being. Things such as policy and programs that help accelerate households and businesses to get off gas faster.
Those who stay connected to gas will be left to help pay for the cost of bringing on new supply, on top of being exposed to market shocks.
Gas prices are certainly at the levels they are today are here to stay, if not to increase in the future.
The Victorian Energy Minister says gas prices are a matter for the federal government.
When we have the export of gas, as happening right now, which federal governments allow, if that means that there's any potential shortfall for our own domestic needs, that puts price pressure on everybody, no matter where they are in the country. And so we've always advocated nationally, whichever Commonwealth government has been in place, that there needs to be a domestic reserve policy put in place to do two things. One is to ensure that we have sufficient supplies of gas left for domestic use, and that it is at an affordable price.
The Federal Energy Minister's office told 7:30 new gas supply will be needed to address projected shortfalls. It says there is already a price cap in place and it has mechanisms to limit exports if required. But experts say that doesn't change what is a worrying outlook for those who rely on gas. Yaron Flicker is desperate for cheaper energy prices. After getting a Victorian government grant, he's investigating alternatives to using gas.
My gut feeling is that we can do some more electrification, but not completely. But the study will be more definitive. And then there's obviously a cost of doing it, and that, if it's possible, the cost is likely to be prohibitive. I mean, industries have closed in Victoria and Australia, one after another, and governments don't seem to be too concerned about it.